A few weeks ago, I posted a video telling you guys my 5 biggest drumming frustrations, and I asked for yours as well. A ton of you guys spoke up in the comments, and although I didn't get to reply to every comment, I assure you, your voices have been heard. I've actually been organizing all of your responses into a spreadsheet divided into 5 main categories of drumming frustration that we're going to talk about today. And I'm also going to tell you guys about my game plan for solving them and hopefully get some more feedback from you. Welcome to the Non Glamorous Drummer. This is the channel that's all about giving you the tips and addressing the topics of the trade that will help teach you the drumming skills that really matter to help you become a better drummer. If that's you and that's something you're interested in and this video helps you out, I really hope to earn your subscription. Here are the 5 categories of drumming frustration that I think we can sum up all of these responses into. Number 1, the issue of sounding good, needing to sound good but not being able to deliver on that. Number 2, practicing. Either not knowing what to practice, just the general issues that fit into the practicing category. Practicing quietly, needing to practice quietly, that's definitely a frustration. Hardware issues, and also technique and ergonomics. What's interesting though is we could actually broaden these categories even further into just 2 categories, time and money. A lot of these frustrations either result from a lack of time or a lack of money. Lack of time results in not enough time to practice, which results in a whole host of frustrations. Lack of money often results in not having the nice gear we want, and so we're having to make do with cheap gear that we feel like can't sound as great as we want it to. Now that's a valid frustration, but it's not necessarily one that you have to deal with even if you don't have a lot of money. So that's something that we're definitely going to spend a lot of time addressing and talking about. So while I can't give you more time and more money, I can definitely help you in managing the resources you've got to help you make the most out of what you have. Let's go a little more in depth about these 5 issues and we'll talk about solving them. So that first issue of sounding good, we had 33 mentions of a frustration that I felt fit into this category in the comments of that frustration video. Really the biggest subcategory there was making do with cheap gear. Maybe you can't afford the good gear, so you're having to deal with cheap stuff. It's frustrating. Can't get drums to sound good, can't get them tuned well. Now, that's kind of interesting because overall this seems like a money issue, right? We need better gear, we need stuff that sounds good. But if we don't know how to take care of our drums and how to tune our drums, then even if we've got a nice kit that we spent thousands of dollars on, it might not actually sound that great. So this can really boil down into more of a time issue. If we take the time to make the most out of the drum gear that we've got, the cheap gear we've got, the fairly cheap drum set that I've got, then we can really get some great sounds out of it and solve this sounding good frustration without spending money. So this is one that I really enjoy solving because you guys know I'm pretty cheap and I'm not a gearhead and I like to make do with what I've got and try to get good sounds out of the drums I have. Issue number 2, practicing. Now this one I think got the most mentions, 35 mentions of some frustration regarding practicing in the comments. So this comes down to not knowing what to practice, not enough time to practice, able to practice but not perform well. That's a huge frustration. That's something we definitely want to deal with. Can't afford lessons, so how do I learn instead? A very valid question. Don't know how to notate grooves or read music or learn songs well. That's a very frustrating issue too that we want to solve. So generally this is a time frustration, with the exception of the can't afford lessons. We got a little bit of a money thing there, but for the most part, the whole not being able to practice well and not knowing what to practice, it all comes down to time. How can we better prepare for our practice time? How can we practice more efficiently with the time we've got? Because most of us have other life responsibilities and life obligations. We're not all in high school where we can just play drums all day. We've got to go to work from whatever hours, and maybe we've got a family we want to spend time with, and so we want to be able to get better at the drums, but not spend all day doing it. This is something that I've dealt with a lot, and something that I definitely want to help you guys with. Practicing quietly. So this one received less mentions just because there are less people having to practice quietly in an apartment or a dorm or whatever. But still there were 13 mentions of something like this, and this is something that is very close to me, having lived in an apartment for over 2 years now, and just dealing with how to practice and how to practice well in an apartment. That's a challenge I've faced and something I've dealt with and something that really inspired starting off this channel, since a lot of my early videos were about those kinds of things. Generally, this is considered a money frustration, but I also want to work to help you guys figure out some more DIY ways to practice quietly and how to spend as little money as possible, but create a good practice kit that works well for you. Hardware issues, which we could say hardware, logistical issues. There were 24 mentions of this, which is quite a lot. This really encompasses a lot of little things like adjusting hardware, having a hard time getting it adjusted right, losing tuning keys, hauling gear to gigs, dealing with bad weather, drum rug issues, adjusting snare wires, hi-hat adjustment, other technical issues regarding the hi-hat. That's something that I've made a couple videos about in the past because adjusting a hi-hat can be tricky and you want to make sure you've got it working for you and not against you. How you have it adjusted can have a lot to do with how it sounds. So these are all issues I've definitely dealt with a lot in the past and that I can hopefully offer some insight on and help you guys out with. Overall, this is a money frustration, but there are ways to definitely save money while dealing with these issues if you take a little bit of time to, again, work with what you've got. So our last one, I think this is a really interesting one. This is probably the one that I've dealt with the least on this channel, but yet it's something I face just as much as you guys have. The whole technique ergonomics challenge. Interestingly, a lot of times ergonomic problems affect the technique problems, and the technique problems affect the ergonomic problems. So these two really work together, so that's why I've grouped them into one category. We've got ergonomic issues, things just not feeling right on the kit. Discomfort, fatigue, technical problems with hands or with feet, trouble playing kick doubles or any fast kick stuff. You want to be able to execute quick kick stuff in a groove whenever you need it, and not being able to, not having that foot strength and control is frustrating, so we want to increase that. Dropping sticks, hitting fingers while playing, breaking sticks, and just a general off day. Those are all very frustrating challenges that very much relate to ergonomics. Though there can be some technique related, a lot of times if you don't have the kit set up well where it's working for you, it's easy to drop sticks, hit sticks into things that they aren't supposed to hit your fingers on rims. Those are all very frustrating things that I've done before and that can often be solved by getting your drums where they need to be to fit your body, your arm length, your playing style, and so on. For the most part, this whole thing is really a time frustration. We can address some of the technique issues in practicing, and we can address those ergonomic issues by just evaluating and strategizing our kit setup and saying, hey, is this working? What feels weird about this? How can we change this? How can we make this kit setup work better for our hands and for what we're playing? This is something I can definitely make some future videos on and hopefully help you guys out a little with. I imagine that a lot of these challenges, difficulties, issues, etc., whatever you want to call them, are resonating with a lot of you. I know that I can pretty much relate to all of these at some time or another, whether past or present. We know what the frustrations are. They're all laid out here on the table. So I want to hear feedback from you guys regarding how you would like to see me help you solve these issues. Obviously, I'll make more videos tailored to dealing with these frustrations. This is a great guiding point for figuring out future video topics. But I'd also like to be able to offer other media formats for maybe going more in depth on a topic. I'd like to have some video courses about ergonomics or about tuning, or ebooks or things like that I can throw up on a website so that after you watch a video that kind of scratches the surface, then you can go more in depth checking out the full length, whatever it is, on a website. So whatever the format, I would just like to be able to have additional for further learning, further viewing, further reading, whatever, content up on a website for you guys to go more in depth on solving a frustration. So tell me what you guys are thinking. Tell me what you would like to see, what you think would be really cool, and what would help you most in solving these frustrations. Let's be non-glamorous drummers solving non-glamorous challenges every day. That sounds kind of cheesy, but I think that's what we're about here. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and subscribers, thanks for watching my videos and supporting the channel, supporting what I'm doing here. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope that you're interested in this whole non-glamorous drum thing and learning the skills that really matter, helping you become a better drummer. And so if you're able to learn something from this or from my other videos, I really hope that you will subscribe. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.